Hi there, everybody. This is a brand new episode of Never Seen It. My name is Betsy, and with me, as always, is Trent.
Hey, Betsy.
Hi, Trent. Today, we are winding up our series that really hasn't been a series as we just cleaned some things up off of our watch list. And we're going to be watching from 1997, Jackie Brown, a film that I have watched one time many, many years ago. And Trent, you have never seen this movie.
I have not.
Now, we picked this one because we just watched a movie a few weeks back when we watched Natural Born Killers, which was quote unquote written, but not really. It was just a story credit by Quentin Tarantino. And that made us want to go revisit something he actually did write, where this was his words and not just his story, because this one isn't even one of his stories.
Right. And I was doing a little bit of research before we sat down here. And yeah, Jackie Brown is not entirely his baby. He adapted this from a book, but I can't remember the guy's name, but it was adapted from a book who had a whole bunch of his books adapted into movies, namely like 310 to Yuma and Out of Sight. And there's a whole bunch of go look up his Wikipedia page. It's fascinating.
Those are two very different movies, Out of Sight and 310 to Yuma. And this is also an interesting choice for Quentin Tarantino because this is in 1997, so we are sandwiched in between. He just did Pulp Fiction, but this is actually, 3 full years after that movie came out. And this is another almost 5 years, 6 years before Kill Bill comes out, and he didn't do anything else in between.
No, I think Kill Bill was very much it was the thing that he was just trying to get out of him, and he couldn't make it into just one movie. He considers Kill Bill 1 and 2 to be one movie.
Right, but I do remember when that movie came out, and it was like the 4th film from Quentin Tarantino. It was like this big, big advertising push.
Yeah, now they do it every single time he puts out a movie.
Yes, but I feel like of all of the movies, Jackie Brown is the one that is kind of a loner. It is by itself compared to the rest of his universe. Like, I don't think there's a whole lot that is going to tie in to the rest of his universe.
I highly doubt it.
Because it's adapted from somebody else's body of work.
Right.
But Trent, what do you know about this since you have not actually watched it?
So Jackie Brown, to me, based on what I've heard other people say, this is actually a lot of people's favorite Tarantino movie. And I think it's maybe because he was a little bit more constrained by the source material. It wasn't his own thing, so he couldn't completely flesh it out as his own. He had to at least stick to the main plot points of the book.
He had to work within parameters that were set for him.
At least there was something to work off of anyway. But Jackie Brown, to me, I don't really know hardly anything about the story itself. All I kind of know is who's in the movie.
So who do you know?
I know the lead actress who is playing Jackie Brown is Pam Grier, which I don't think I've ever seen any movies that she's ever been in, much less anything that she's starred in. I think De Niro is also in this movie. Sam Jackson is another one of the main characters here. And isn't Michael Keaton also in this movie in a weird time in his career?
To be completely honest, I have no idea because, as I said, I've only seen this once and it was about 20 years ago.
Okay.
But I think you're right. I think Michael Keaton is in this movie because, as I said, this one is just so different from the rest of them that there are people that only worked with Tarantino this one time and it's in this movie. There are story elements that only exist to this movie. And it's just very unique in his pantheon of films. But I don't really know a whole lot more than you do. And I've seen this movie. But do you know anything about the plot?
I know Pam Grier is like a flight attendant that gets mixed up with a whole bunch of crime. What the crime is, I have no idea. It's probably drugs because, hey, it's the 90s and that's what everybody was making movies about drugs. But really beyond that, I have no idea.
Well, then we're going to keep this intro short and sweet. So we're going to go and see Jackie Brown, and we'll be right back. And we're back. That was Jackie Brown. Trent, what did you think?
I can see why Tarantino was attracted to this property and decided to kind of make it his own, because there's so many things that he has done in his career since his first 3 movies that this is just, it's just kind of dripping with all of the Tarantino tropes. But at the same time, there's also a whole lot of things that you don't see in a lot of his movies. It's a weird one to me. I really liked it though.
Yeah, I think this is a good movie. It's definitely not going to speak to you the same way most of his other movies do. It is a truly unique vibe in his filmography. And I remember the first time I watched this liking it, and I liked it again today. But it just doesn't grab me the same way some of his other ones do, because it's less bombastic. It is less quick. Like he takes his time with this one. And the biggest change I would say is the pacing. Now, if you've seen his earlier ones, there are things in Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction that are very, very slow. But this one takes that up a notch, and not in a way that's bad, but it is different. If you in 1997 are only familiar with 90s Tarantino and you walk into this movie, you're going to be having a very different experience.
It's got the pace of a book.
Yes.
That's how I was kind of interpreting this, because there's a whole lot of scenes here that just don't need to be here. There's relationships that just don't need to be here, or at least you don't need all this extra shit to be on top of the overall story. You could cut a full half hour out of this movie and it would not be worse. So again, going back to the pacing here, at times I did feel like it was going very, very slowly, but then he draws you in. He draws you in with these characters that are kind of like nothing that he's had in a movie before. And one thing that I wanted to point out here, and this is very unique to this particular movie, because he doesn't do a whole lot of modern day movies, not anymore anyway. But this movie seems, the word I came up with, it feels very domestic, in that this is all happening in real places. This was real 1990, well, 5 is when the book was written, but it came out in 97. This feels like a real place. They go to the mall. They have this bail bondsman office. They have real locations that you don't see in any other Tarantino movies. Like when you had Pulp Fiction that came out a few years prior, the real locations are the diner and I think the pawn shop where Zed is.
I think he uses a lot of real places. It's just that it's more the LA that most people know. And this one is the LA people don't know, because he spends most of his time in this movie in Compton, which I'd be willing to bet the average American has not studied what it's like there, or the kind of people that live there, or the things that go on there, especially when you're talking about the people who had already latched onto Tarantino in 97.
Yeah.
But you're right, there is a lot more realism to this story, and he's not amping up the violence, and he's not amping up the over-the-top ways of filming things.
Yeah,
he doesn't do any like crazy editing tricks. Even when he's doing editing tricks, it's for the purpose of telling the story.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to this being based on a book, because there are, fade outs, and you have, hey, this is where they're going to do the dry run, and this is going to be the real thing, and
chapter titles and timestamps.
Chapter titles in here, and you have these flashbacks, and you just don't see a lot of that stuff happening in the rest of his movies. So how the timeline works a lot more like a book than a movie. But I don't know, I'm trying to wrap my head around this movie, and I'm having a much harder time with this one. And I think it's because it doesn't have the same kind of pacing that I'm used to with his stuff.
But I would also make an argument that without him making this movie, Kill Bill doesn't end up being the structure that it is, because that is the movie series that comes out right after this one. In his filmography, he did not make anything between this one and Kill Bill.
Yep.
And Kill Bill is divided up into chapters, and it is told in that fashion where it's like chapter 1, here we go, chapter 2. And when he tells it out of sequence. In this one, it's so straightforward. It's almost unnerving to watch a Tarantino movie play out in just the way another movie plays out.
Yeah, it's very linear up until you get to the big switcheroo, is how I wrote it down in my notes, when they're in the mall for the final time and they're exchanging all this money. That's really the only time where they kind of mess around with time itself, because you're getting different perspectives depending on who we're following here. But the rest of the movie is completely linear.
Right. And like I said, the reason he does that editing trick there is because we are seeing it from different people's perspectives. This is, in effect, another heist movie from Tarantino. It's different. It's not a jewel heist gone wrong. It's, we're going to take this guy's money, and how is she going to pull it off? And we see it from 3 different perspectives in this part of the movie. But it's really well executed.
Yes and no. Like, I got a little confused by the end here where they're finally, when they have the final plan in place, I still kind of didn't know what everybody's job was and what the finale was going to be. Like, what is the final result that you're trying to get here?
I think there are a couple of issues with that throughout this movie, and maybe it's the pacing thing, but there were definitely moments where, like at the beginning of the movie, Ordell goes and bails out this guy only to promptly kill him in the trunk of his car. And they then explain why he did it. But in the moment, you're like, what the fuck is he doing?
I got that right away.
Oh, I was definitely like, why would you get this guy out of prison? And then he explains it and it's like, oh, no, that makes a lot more sense. But then there's other things like Jackie Brown is the name of the movie and the main character. She's the first one we see on screen, but we aren't actually introduced to her for almost half an hour.
Right.
There's things like that throughout this movie that it's a little bit harder to jump around like that and figure out who everybody is and what their deal is. And then there's other distractions where you've got Robert De Niro at a very high point in his career in kind of an irrelevant minor role. And
basically doing nothing.
So there's all these factors where you're just like, what am I watching here? Because you are at his whim and just kind of trusting that Tarantino has a plan here. And it almost works against him, if this makes sense, because we are so used to the other Tarantino where it's non-linear, it's very big, it's very fast.
And everybody has a big role in his
And
movies.
everybody has a big role. And this one is not that. And I'm not saying it's bad, but if you are really a fan of that Tarantino, this is a lot harder to digest.
I feel like if you didn't have a guy like Robert De Niro and you didn't have, I mean, Sam Jackson at the time was still not a very big star. I mean, he got famous via the Pulp Fiction movie. So I wonder, if you'd had different actors in these main roles, would the movie have still worked? Would you not have been distracted by a guy like Robert De Niro? Or did you really need to have these big names in here at all? I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and I'm having a really hard time. I don't know why.
It's something about this movie. I think we're going to have a little bit more difficulty with this one than other Tarantino movies, just because, as I said in the intro, it is really unique to his filmography, and there's a lot of things about it stylistically that differentiate it from anything else I've ever seen him do. And you and I have seen every single thing he's done except for Grindhouse.
Right. And that's a very unique thing in and of itself.
That's a whole experience by design.
Right. That's like halfway a Tarantino thing. Like those two things put together and all the interstitials and everything, that whole thing is a collaboration with Robert Rodriguez. So I wouldn't even say that Grindhouse is just his baby,
no.
or at least the Death Proof movie.
Those two guys are just fucking around.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we have a lot more to talk about, but first we're going to take a quick word from our sponsor. Patreon.com/neverseenapod. 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 Hi, we're Betsy and Trent, the incredibly beautiful and talented hosts of Never Seen It with Betsy and Trent. Due to a factory error, we are now overstocked on podcasts, and we are passing this deal on to you. For the low, low price of $5 a month, you can get Never Seen It Movie Club, Real Love, Box Set, The Way Back Machine, and so much more. So come on down to Patreon.com/neverseenapod and claim these amazing deals today! All right, well, let's start with the people who are in this movie. Obviously, we just mentioned that Robert De Niro is in this. And I was remarking how far into this movie we got, and he kind of had nothing to do. It was really bizarre watching this movie with Academy Award winner, at this time, I think two-time Academy Award winner, Robert De Niro. And he's just this schlubby dude who's getting high,
Fresh out of prison. He hardly has any lines, and he really didn't do anything in the plot. Like, genuinely, for most of the movie, and then even when something finally happens where he actually has a scene that's focused around him, to the end of the movie, he doesn't actually contribute that much to the story. No. I feel like this character was kind of shoehorned in here just to have a thing for Robert De Niro to do, because apparently De Niro really wanted the role of Max Cherry. But because Tarantino had his heart set on Robert Forster playing that role of Max, that he had to find him something. So he cast him in this other thing, which is maybe why he's just kind of fucking around half of the movie.
I think he's supposed to be there. The character definitely is supposed to be there, but it's just incredibly strange for it to be Robert De Niro.
This weird side story of him and Melanie, and they have this, I don't know, like long history. When's the last time I saw you? There were 6 or 7 years ago. Okay, were you like a fucking teenager back then? Because she's very young.
That's also the suggestion. Like, how old are you in this picture? I was 14.
Right.
So I don't know
what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know what that whole plot is. And then there's this turn where she says, do you want to fuck?
Yeah, enough of this small talk. You want to fuck.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So there's arguably some moments where he gets the funniest scenes in the movie, because there are some times where you laughed and it was usually at Robert De Niro.
I think it was just mainly because this is just a strange role for him. Like, what are you even doing here?
I almost wish he did more of this, though. Like, I didn't hate it. Like,
I'm just saying in 97.
I know.
Like, what are you doing here?
We watched Copland, which came out the same year as this. This is 2 years coming off of Heat, one of the greatest movies of the 90s. And now he's in this movie. And I attribute it to, yes, he wanted to play that other role, but I think more than anything, he wanted to work with Quentin Tarantino.
I mean, after a movie like Pulp Fiction, and because of De Niro's background of playing, crime guys, for lack of a better word.
Especially in the 90s.
So I can see why a guy like that would really want to get in on the ground floor and work with Tarantino, but he never did it again.
No.
He worked with Pacino, and that's really it.
Yeah, it is unusual that they've never worked with each other after this. Now, I don't know where you would possibly put him, looking at all the movies he's made.
Sure, and maybe, again, it's going back to what you said about Tarantino really wanted to focus in on the people that, like, the roles in this movie were basically written for these people.
For those
no one
actors.
really had to audition for these parts. He knew who he wanted.
But that is Tarantino's MO.
This
is just the first time he did it. He did it in this movie. He did it in Kill Bill. He did it in something else.
He did it in everything.
He's pretty much done it every movie since Jackie Brown. He put somebody that you don't expect to be in it in his movie. Like, nobody expected David Carradine to show up in Kill Bill. Nobody expected Don Johnson to be this racist motherfucker with the KKK.
Yeah.
During Django
That was a
Unchained.
surprise. When we saw him in Django, I couldn't even recognize him because he's so fucking Southern, and wow.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Same thing with like Bruce Dern. He's now worked with Bruce Dern a couple of times.
Right.
Kurt Russell, like he's worked with him a few times.
Yep.
These are not the people you necessarily expect to be in these big budget high-profile movies with Tarantino.
But these are actors that Tarantino loves and respects. And let's just move on to Pam Grier.
Yeah.
Because this is a gal that my understanding here is Quentin Tarantino had a fucking obsession with Pam Grier.
Well, Tarantino is one of those guys that has seen 40,000 movies in his lifetime,
including a whole bunch of movies from the fucking 60s and 70s.
The blaxploitation
someone like
movies.
Pam Grier in these blaxploitation movies.
Yes,
which is why that's where his bread and butter is.
Yes, she was not a star to the masses.
No,
but
not
she
at
was
all.
a star in that genre, and thus she was a star to Quentin Tarantino. And now we're 20 years removed from that time of her life.
Yeah.
And she's kind of in this very quiet, let's say, part of her career. And Tarantino had nobody else in mind to play this role. He was like, I know who I want, and I know who I'm going to get.
The thing I read about this is when she came in to meet Tarantino and kind of go over things, she walked into this office with a whole bunch of like posters of herself up on the wall.
He's a big old nerd who had his walls covered.
Yes. And she asked him when she walked in, so did you put all these up because I was coming over? And he responded, oh no, I almost took them down because you were coming over because you are my obsession. You know, that works to a point, but you might scare somebody off if you come at them that intensely.
When you were like, you are the only person I want. Right. I need you to be in my movie.
And on the other hand here, Robert Forster was a guy who was working a lot in the 70s and 80s, much like Pam Grier, same kind of deal. And his career was kind of in the tank. When they met, he didn't even have an agent. But when these two met, Tarantino said, I want you in my movie. Here's the script. This is the part that I wrote for you. And he had auditioned for a part in Reservoir Dogs. He didn't get it. Lawrence Tierney got that part. But again, because he respected him so much, he wrote this part for him. He was really good in the part for sure. But because he had that history of watching all of his old stuff, it reinvigorated his career, and he got a fucking Oscar nomination for it.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
That's insane.
Well, this movie opened on Christmas. So, you know, after the success of Pulp Fiction, they were like, maybe we can do it again. Maybe we can get another Oscar-nominated movie on our hands.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in 1997, there was kind of one other movie that came out and sort of stole everybody's thunder.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this not that long ago with like 1997. That's also when The Full Monty was in there.
Right.
And Titanic. And
it was a weird year.
It was a weird year. So it's almost like, would this movie have even gotten in? I don't know. Because in 1997, you've got Quentin Tarantino, big star on the rise. 94 was a huge year, as evidenced by the fact that Robert De Niro really wanted that role. You have to imagine that if this had been produced by anyone other than Miramax, he doesn't get his way. He doesn't get to cast Pam Grier and Robert Forster, who's basically, they are not stars anymore. Why would you put them at the forefront of your movie?
Of the next Tarantino movie.
Of the next Tarantino movie.
That's really the thing here. But because Tarantino already had a name behind him and Miramax was very much behind anything that he would, if Tarantino wanted to make a movie for a studio, you say yes. You just say yes if you're the studio, and you're going to give him whatever resources that he needs because this is the next Tarantino.
And in the 90s, Miramax was the shit. They were the people that were supporting people like Quentin Tarantino. They were the studio
that we talked about this before. They were like the 90s version of A24. If you had an independent film that you wanted to make and you had a good enough pitch, guess what? You got funded. Yeah. Same thing with what's happening with A24.
And you got creative freedom too. Because like I said, if this was another studio, if this was a major studio, Tarantino doesn't get to put the people he wants in this movie. You don't put Robert De Niro in the nothing supporting role. You give him the role he wants. And it makes it a completely different movie. But because he had the right people supporting his vision, he got to make Jackie Brown the way he wanted to.
And fucking Michael Keaton didn't even think he was right for the part that he got.
He strikes me as an extremely humble sort of human being. There was nothing that made me sadder than when he lost at the Oscars and he tucked his little notes back into his pocket. It's like, no!
Yeah, I mean, the things that I have seen Michael Keaton in his serious roles, just in the past decade since we've been watching a lot of the newer movies that he's been putting out, I'm really liking his work.
He's a really interesting guy when you look at the things he chooses to do. Like, he has made some god-awful choices, but he also has made some really interesting movies. Like this one, he doesn't even think he's right for it, and he's pretty great in it. He's just playing a cocky cop.
And not only that, but in this universe.
This is so insane that you told me this.
This is crazy. In the intro, I mentioned this author who wrote this book also wrote the book Out of Sight, or at least the book that became the Out of Sight movie. Michael Keaton plays the same character, the same name, the same job. He's a cop in Out of Sight. He's the same guy. So these two, at least, I don't know, books are in the same universe, if not the two movies are in the same universe.
Well, and you and I haven't seen Out of Sight.
No.
But it is funny that we were saying in the intro how the Tarantino universe doesn't bleed into this one, but this universe bleeds into other ones.
Yeah.
That is a funny coincidence.
It is funny. And again, we both looked into this author's history. And yeah, there's a whole lot of movies that got made through his books. Like Get Shorty was one of them.
Another person that was getting a lot of his stuff adapted in the 90s.
Yeah.
One of them hit, and then it was just like, quick, buy them all
Get
up.
the next one.
Make them all into movies.
Well, and of course, talking about the Tarantino universe, you can't make a Tarantino movie without Sam Jackson.
Not anymore. Not anymore, you can't.
You just can't. I mean, he wasn't in Reservoir Dogs, but has he been in every other one?
Since Pulp Fiction, I believe he has, even in a tiny fashion. Like, even in Kill Bill, they found a way to put him in there. He's the piano player.
Yeah, and he's the narrator in Inglourious Basterds when there has to be a narrator, but I don't think he's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is he?
Okay, maybe he's not in that one, but I can't remember.
In that one, yeah.
Maybe his voice is in there again somewhere.
Maybe.
He likes to do that shit.
But yes, Sam Jackson in this movie is just kind of ridiculous. I don't really know what to say about him.
His hair is absurd, and so
that was his idea, by the way,
weird
to have the weird long hair and the twisty
beard
goatee
combo.
beard thing. It's just kind of disgusting because he is this skeezy guy who likens himself to be this fucking arms dealer.
I think that's the idea, is he's a big phony. This guy's a big fucking phony. They set it up in the very first scene where he is sitting on the couch with Robert De Niro and Bridget Fonda's there, and they're watching Chicks with Guns, or whatever the fuck that was called. And
it's like a fucking dating show.
Yeah, and every girl who has a gun, he like mutes them and he says, now this is that gun and this is this gun and it retails for this much, but I sell it for this much.
Yeah, it's the joke that they make in Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh, Lord. How are we tying into that?
Because at the beginning of that movie, they say, well, yeah, I see you read the brochure. That's exactly what he's doing. That's what the Bridget Fonda's character says. He just read the manual for these fucking things and he thinks that he's hot shit.
Yeah, and that's kind of his whole thing. He thinks he's hot shit. But even when he finds himself in this situation where they're on to him, the cops are going to get his money, Jackie manages to completely play him. And when you watch the two of them interacting, he just goes along with her plan. Like, she manages to get the upper hand and convince him this is the right way to do it. Now, I'm not saying he isn't a little bit nuts. Clearly, he kills multiple people in this movie without very much prompting.
Very casually.
Yeah, so he's definitely an edgy sort of person with poor anger management skills. But it's also the fact that he can just be driven around and told what to do. Like, he just goes along with this plan because she is much more confident a person in who she is and her grand scheme for this, how they're going to get the money.
Yeah, and I want to talk more about her, but I feel like he is very much going along with this, not because she has any kind of pull over him whatsoever, but because she's the one that has access to the money.
I don't know, because when they have that scene where he's going to go like strangle her and she pulls a gun, like she is much more dominant in this scenario.
Yeah, she turns it on.
She turns it on.
It comes back to the fact that she is a grown-ass woman.
Yes, and down to the end of the movie, she is in total control of the situation. She is playing all parties. Jackie's out for Jackie. And at the end of the movie, he's coming in and he says that line, "I've never heard her so scared before." And you see her in the office. She is not scared. She knows exactly what the fuck she's doing.
She's rehearsing.
She is rehearsing. So it just goes to show you that this guy is not as hot shit as he thinks he is. He's kind of an idiot.
Not.
And the hair just adds to that character. It makes him look ridiculous.
Yes.
And it just tells you without saying it, this is a ridiculous human being that you really don't need to worry that much about.
Except when you do. And
Except when you do.
Even his schemes, or not even schemes, like when he shoots people, it's just, again, very casually. When he's in the bus with Lewis and he just casually like brings the gun over and shoots him in the belly, and then he does it again into his chest. He didn't have any kind of plan there. He's going to be covered in blood. What are you going to do there, buddy?
And then he strolls down the street covered in blood.
Yeah. Really, this movie hinges on Jackie. Because Jackie is the linchpin on every single thing. She is the connection that the cops have. The ATF agents have to use her in order to get to the person who is selling the guns, because they don't give a shit about money. They don't give a shit about the drugs. They're the ATF. Emphasis on F. So she's playing the cops and she is playing Sam Jackson because she's the one who has access to the money. And she also employs Max, maybe because she knows that he's into her.
She knows how to use her womanly wiles.
Yeah.
She's not stupid.
Yeah. I saw something just when I was doing my research. Somebody said something about this is a middle-aged woman owning herself. She owns her confidence. She owns her lot in life. Now, she's been dealt a really raw deal here. She got busted once before. She's had a decent job, but she can't work for the big airlines anymore. So she's relegated to doing fucking Cabo Air, going back and forth from LA to Cabo with a bunch of rich fucks.
The shittiest version of this job she can have.
Making $16,000 a year, even in 1997.
That's not that much money.
Nothing.
Living in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And she's kind of under this guy's thumb because he bailed her out, and that's how he gets people in his pocket. He bails them out. And then they have to do what he tells them. And she's just kind of sick of it. She's kind of sick of being told what to do by stupid men. She is surrounded by stupid men who she can play left and right. And the whole movie, when you're watching it, you are wondering, wait, what is she doing? Because she is telling the cops, I'm going to participate. But then she's telling Sam Jackson, I told the cops this, but this is what we're really going to do.
Right.
But then she goes to Max and says, but how would you feel about a third and different plan?
She is triple crossing everybody and she's playing them for fools.
Because she is out for her. She says, she has a speech in this movie that tells you where her mind is.
I think I know exactly what you're going to say, but go ahead.
She says, I'm 44 years old. And have you ever had to start over?
Again.
I am not gonna do this again.
She is more scared to start over with nothing than be killed by the Sam Jackson character.
Yeah, she's got nothing to lose in her brain.
Yeah, she's got her fucking record collection. That is the thing that she values.
Yeah, she's not going to reinvest in CDs. Fuck that.
It's such a, not even a millennial thing. This is a Gen X thing because Gen Xers, they had their fucking records, then they had their tapes, then they had their CDs, and now they're fucking pushing 50 and now it's all streaming. And yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm never getting rid of my CDs. I'm not a Gen Xer, but I'm going to tell you that shit's staying with me.
I saw like something else unrelated to this movie about Gen Xers, mainly about movies, I think, because Gen Xers had all the way back to fucking Betamax
Same
and
thing.
VHS.
Betamax and VHS and
Laser
DVD.
disc, all that shit. They had to upgrade so many different times in the course of their lives that they're just done. We're done with that.
But yeah, it's all about starting over. And even just what you were just saying.
Yes.
Starting over your record collection. That's part of it. I'm not starting over. She's got this shitty job that she had to start over. She's 44. She's a single woman. She doesn't want to have to find a new city and a new job. She likes her life. And changing that now is hard. And I am now close to her age in this movie. If she's saying she's 44, I'm not that far off from this.
And you've only had your current job for a couple of years,
Yeah.
so it ain't easy.
No, at 37 years old, I'm calling it and starting a new job. That was hard enough.
Yeah.
Let alone being, a single woman in a city with the threat of prison ahead of you.
Yeah, this person has a history. She's got a record. When you have that hanging over your head, whether you have like any kind of like jail time or probation, parole, any of that stuff hanging over your head, in this country, if you have a criminal record, you're kind of fucked. You cannot get any good job. You cannot set yourself up for success in any kind of like business because no bank is going to give you a loan. So she just feels kind of stuck, and she takes this opportunity to get hers because this guy's fucking me over. These ATF guys don't give a fuck about me. They just want to get this other guy.
And they'll use me and abuse me to do it.
Absolutely. They do not give a shit about you. And she knows it. So why not take this opportunity to do it?
She's also mentions that the reason she got in trouble in the first place was because of her ex-husband.
Right.
So men are fucking her life up and she's had enough of it. So this is her big opportunity, as you said.
Yeah.
And I do like what she comes up with for her plan. And I was trying to remember, as I said, I've only seen this movie once, what was actually going down here. I remembered there was some kind of a switcheroo, but didn't know exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So ultimately, she tells the cops there's going to be less money. And because they're stupid men who believed her the first time and it all checked out the first time, that she's going to be honest the second time.
Yeah.
And they make a bad assumption.
And again, the ATF guys don't give a shit about the money.
No.
They're just trying to get to this other guy so that they can get access to the guns. Probably what they're really trying to do is get the guy above Sam Jackson, the guy he was on the phone with at the very end of the movie.
Whoever's sourcing him with guns.
Exactly. That's who they want.
Yeah. But the fact that she knows she can play all the weaknesses of these men.
Yeah.
She knows Sam Jackson isn't as big and tough as he thinks he is. She knows that Ray is the kind of cop that doesn't give a shit about her and he's just trying to advance his career and get the next guy and solve the case.
Also, it helps that you got a bail bondsman on your side and he knows how to read cops, let's say.
And he's kind of in a precarious situation in his own life where he's like, what am I doing here? What's my life about?
Right.
And
the story about him,
she doesn't make a move on getting him involved until she hears that story and suddenly knows that there's somebody else who feels about the world the way she is currently feeling.
And I like how she brings it up to him because when they're in that mall scene, she asks him a couple of times. So if you were in this position, what would you do? And then he reveals all the stuff about, yeah, I had to go pick up a guy. I broke into his house and I have this stun gun and I'm just waiting there and the house smells like cat piss. And I think to myself, what the fuck am I doing here? I can be done. I can be done with this. And she again asks the question, what would you do if you had the opportunity?
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Well, the only other person we haven't really talked about yet is Bridget Fonda being in this movie.
And Chris Tucker.
Oh, yeah, and Chris Tucker. But he's only in one scene, and he's a baby, and then he dies.
He's so skinny.
He's so skinny. He'd already made The Fifth Element at this point.
Yeah.
But
a very minor role.
Very minor role. But he's way more important to that movie than he is to this one. The only thing we know about him here is he's the one that sets things in motion.
Yes.
He has already been in the cops' room and told them everything they wanted to know, which is the only reason they knew about Jackie to begin with.
Indeed.
But Bridget Fonda being in this, she's another one where she has more scenes, she has things to do, and then she just abruptly gets killed in a parking lot.
So I have seen that scene before. I think somebody posted it on Twitter sometime as a completely out of context scene. Like, what are some of your favorite scenes in movies or whatever the fuck? I do not remember what it was, but I saw that scene out of context where she's just berating him about where's the car? Where's the car?
Is it
down this
aisle?
aisle?
Over here?
Louis. Just completely breaking his balls, and he just, I cannot handle this anymore. So I'm gonna shoot you twice.
He overreacted slightly in that situation.
Yeah.
But then, of course, when he tells Ordell what he did, Ordell then promptly does the same thing to him.
Right.
So these are just a bunch of nonsensical hotheads who have no plan and no way of, getting by in life. And even though she's not that relevant a character, it's funny how they still give importance to Melanie in that she's not important.
She's another person that they can use, but she's unreliable. And she is established as an unreliable partner in this entire scheme.
And she's pissed off about not being included.
Right.
It's like, girl, you lay on the couch and get high all day. Like, they define her as she's my blonde surfer chick or whatever he says about her.
Right.
And they're not dating. It's just somebody he likes having around, and I can't figure out why.
It's a place he can hang his hat. That's all it is.
It makes him feel like a big, strong man taking care of helpless little women.
Yeah, like he's got this fucking harem of women that is just at his beck and call. He likens himself to be this big shot where he has people waiting on him hand and foot, answering his phone calls and everything else. But no, you're just a fucking small time gun runner or whatever.
And maybe that's again the point, is Melanie being there and copping an attitude with him.
Yeah.
Just to demonstrate he has no control over this person. She is not afraid of him. She's not afraid of Louis. She does not give a fuck.
Well, and she also reads him like a book. She knows that he's completely full of shit, and she reveals all this to Robert De Niro as they're getting high.
But she also wants to be involved. She's like, I know you're all up to shit and you're not including me, and I want to be included. I also want to feel important.
And even though, like, on game day, as it were, she's stuck in her room and not wanting to come out, and they have to drag her ass out.
So I think the characters are definitely interesting. I think there are a lot of things to like in this movie. It's a good movie, but as we said earlier, it's very different from his other movies. But
I'm really curious. I know we're going to get to emails and stuff later, but I want to put the call out now. There's a lot of Tarantino fans out there. There's also a lot of people who really love Jackie Brown. And I like this movie, but I might just have to watch it a few more times to really get it, or a lot more anyway. I want to know from our listeners, is this one of your favorite Tarantino movies?
And why?
And why? Are there things that we're just missing here? Because like I said, like I kept on saying in the beginning here, I had a really hard time even talking about this one. And I don't get like that.
No. Is it because it's so different? Maybe that's the thing.
I have like a mental block. Like, this is a Tarantino movie, but it's not. It's weird.
It's also the thing of he did write it, but it's not his story. And maybe that's what it is he has just not spent time since this movie adapting things. It's not his bag. He just writes movies. And, you could get into a long tirade about Tarantino and the auteur filmmaker theory and how he can only make 10 movies and then he has to be done. It's like, shut up, dude.
Shut up.
But is that part of it? Like, he feels because this movie's so different and maybe wasn't as critically accepted, it's not as widely popular as some of his other movies are.
People do not talk about Jackie Brown in the pantheon.
Did he get butthurt and scared of adapting something else? I would be fascinated because there are elements of it I really like, that he has such restraint, that it has all the touch marks of a Tarantino while having none of them.
I wonder if he is going to make a conversion here from being the writer-director Tarantino to just being like a Scorsese, where he doesn't write shit. He just directs.
Well, I think the way he's talked about it, and he's very proud of, oh, no, I'm going to go away. I'm not going to wear out my welcome.
I don't believe that for a second.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But he pulled the plug on his most recent project, and we don't know what his next thing's going to be. But he's a man with ideas. He's got lots of ideas. He wrote so many movies, or at least the concepts for movies that got adapted in the 90s, and we just haven't seen that guy in a long time. In a long time. And you know that's a dude that has a shelf full of ideas.
Yeah.
But Trent, I know you've got some other things you want to talk about for Jackie Brown specifically. So what have you got?
Just a few things. I liked the initial first scene with Jackie on this tracking shot in the airport because, Betsy, if I had already seen this movie and really loved it, I wouldn't have recognized where I got it from. But no, she is channeling Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate at the very beginning of that movie.
Another person flying into LAX.
Indeed.
On the moving sidewalk. Yeah, I was wondering if you'd clock that.
Oh, yeah. I've only seen that movie once, but it had a lasting impact on me.
It is a pretty direct homage to that movie specifically. What is that just a good shot? Or is he saying something with that? Because I can't really draw a through line to specifically the themes of The Graduate.
No, I think it's just a good shot. Like, other movies have done that in different ways. Like the beginning of fucking Dogma, when Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are in that airport or bus stop or wherever the fuck they are. They're going along motorized sidewalks just like people are here. So again, I think it's just a movie-making trick that The Graduate did very, very well. I also it's not really about the movie, but just the era. This is 1997. Betsy and I are in fucking middle school, junior high.
Yes,
going through fucking puberty at this time.
I was 12 years old.
Indeed. And being at the mall, like this is the fucking Sam Goody sign and all of these other stores,
90s
the food court.
Mall culture.
90s mall culture, yeah.
And the fact that Max in this movie, he goes to a movie at the mall and then goes to get something to eat in the mall. This is a huge fucking mall. Like they say it's like the biggest mall in the United States or something.
I don't remember the exact text that was on screen, but it had something to do with, this is a really big mall.
Yeah. Clearly, they've never been to the Mall of America. But
I don't even remember when the Mall of America became like the
92
thing.
or 91. It was before this movie.
Okay, fine.
But I don't know if anybody was visiting it en masse yet.
Maybe. And really, the last thing I wanted to point out was the Michael Keaton scene in the interrogation room where he is just all over this room. He is climbing on this chair and sitting on the back of it with his feet on the seat.
And adjusting his dick. Like, that was definitely something he did very prominently.
Oh, my God. Like, his energy in this movie is kind of all over the place.
I do enjoy Michael Keaton, though. You're right. The more I see of him, I'm like, I should just invest a lot more time. Now, he's got a movie coming out. We're going to see how we feel about that in a few months. We might be revising our statement.
If the next Beetlejuice movie is actually bad, I'm not going to blame him. However, I am going to give him props for saying yes to that.
Fair enough. Well, Trent, any other parting thoughts about Jackie Brown?
I'm going to pull a Betsy and say I'm going to need to sit with this one for a while and maybe see it again.
Yeah, you know what? I do that because
you say that a lot.
Sometimes I just feel like I don't get movies. Like, it just doesn't connect with me. But that doesn't mean I don't have the capacity to get it. I've said it before. I didn't get The Departed the first time I watched it. I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't dislike it, but it took me a few viewings. And I feel like in the back of my head, I knew that about this movie. And that's why I haven't revisited it in so long. But now it's been so long since I watched it, I barely remembered it, and I'm back at square one.
And you've also seen a lot of other Tarantino movies since then. You've seen a lot of movies in general. So you can come at this with more fresh eyes and maybe appreciate it for what it was, but you still don't love it.
No, it just doesn't sing to me. Like the way I have been like, holy fucking shit, now that's a movie. Like, I saw Inglourious Bastards 3 times in the theater.
Yeah.
I just kept going back. Like, there's something about some of his films that really speaks to me. and I want to be a part of it. And this one is not bad. It's not a bad movie.
No.
Like we just said, there are a lot of elements that I quite like. And as we're breaking it down, okay, I'm seeing what he's doing. I'm seeing the different characters and what people are about.
I just have a lot of questions that I don't think there are answers for.
Or we just have to watch it again.
We'll see.
We'll see. But that's going to do it for Jackie Brown. Trent already said it once, but I'll say it again. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you a fan of Jackie Brown? Where does this one rank in the Tarantino filmography?
Should we do Grindhouse?
We want to do like the proper, I want to find out if there's a way to do it. Like watch both movies as they were presented with the shit in between.
I think I have a copy of that.
You think it can
that
be
exact
done?
thing, Betsy, yes.
Okay, well, we will figure out if that's a thing we want to do. But yes, tell us your thoughts. You can email us, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We have gotten a few emails from our friend Mitch from Saskatoon in the past few weeks because, like us going through our summer watch list, he is also going through his summer watch list. He sent us this email a couple of weeks ago entitled Back to the Beginning. And he addresses us as Trent C. We don't have a fun couple name, and that's like as close as it gets.
I don't approve.
I don't approve. He begins. I was inspired by your choice of Brick and going to Rian Johnson's beginnings. So I decided to go to your beginning as far as I could and went to episode 2, Sound of Metal.
I mean, that's not as far as you could. There is an episode 1, you know.
As far as he could. Just let the man speak.
All right.
First of all, your sound is way better now and your flow is nicer.
Yeah, you think?
But you've always had that sparkle and excellent analysis. Good job. It was funny to hear you introduce your email and Twitter account. You were very detailed and we're looking forward to your first email. You didn't mention patreon.com/neverseenitpod once though.
No, we were stupid and did not sign up for that thing until much, much later.
Also, if you are listening back that far, yeah.
Identify yourself.
First of all, thank you. But also, please don't judge us by those first episodes.
If you go back and listen to like the first, let's say 100 episodes, it sounds bad. We are bad.
Okay, we're not bad, but we're not as comfortable doing that as we are now.
No, I'm going to judge us harshly. We are bad.
No, I still want people to listen because there are valid thoughts that are said throughout.
No, I know there's people out there who still go back and listen to those episodes, and I thank you, but please don't judge us based on those.
No, just skip ahead.
So much more better stuff.
Skip ahead.
Go from like now and go backwards. That's a lot better.
Unless you want to do the series, because then that makes no sense.
Yes.
But we still have all those things. And now we have patreon.com/neverseenitpod. He continues his email. Sound of Metal is a cool movie. How they play with the sound makes you think of A Quiet Place, but I kind of prefer this. Riz Ahmed was very convincing and really gave me all the feels. Once he had his turning point with the kid on the slide, the movie really takes off. It's hard to accept things we can't control, and he shows us a wide range of emotions. It's weird that this movie is about a guy addicted to sound. I don't know where you ranked it that year, but I am sure it was well received.
I think about Sound of Metal every so often, and I am reminded on how good it was and how much I was impressed by Riz Ahmed.
He was that movie. He's an incredible actor, and the fact that that was already a few years ago, and unfortunately we haven't gotten him really leading a whole lot more movies even since then.
Not movies.
You know, he's also got an Oscar now. But for something else.
Not for acting.
No, but he won an Oscar. And that was the year that they pulled that weird stunt when they said, oh, well, we're not going to air all of the smaller categories.
Sure.
And so we came back from commercial and there's Riz Ahmed in like a 10-second clip holding his Oscar. It's like, this is bullshit. And I'm really glad they got rid of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he concludes, awesome job on your podcast and the improvement you've shown from the beginning. Just like RJ, he means Rian Johnson. Until next time, Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch.
Yes, we appreciate you listening all the way back that far, and I'm glad you can tell that we have improved, because we sure hope so.
I hope so.
It's sometimes really hard to go back and listen to yourself on any context. To go back to the beginning of our podcast is... It's a feeling. It's a feeling we have.
I know there's people out there who are kind of going through it and they're discovering us, and we appreciate everybody who's listening. But
and if you love
please,
that movie, great.
please don't judge us based on
Don't
that.
stop there, please.
Yeah.
Jump ahead, find a more recent one.
I promise you it gets better.
But yes, thank you so much, Mitch. I hope you've been enjoying your summer of films as we have. We would love to hear from more of you, though. That email again, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. You don't have to email us. You can just send us a message on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere you want to send us a message is fine by us.
All those links are in every episode description. Just tap on it. It'll take you to the app and follow us there.
We would also love if you'd support the show by going to anywhere you're listening to your podcast and rating us 5 stars. Write a review. We really haven't gotten that many reviews, and it's starting to hurt my feelings.
Yeah, we need some more reviews. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you want to do us a solid.
Because we want you to tell your friends about us, and we want other friends to find us. And as Mitch mentioned, you can go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, where you can find 4 shows about movies and some other shows that are not about movies, all for $5 a month, because we refuse to be quiet.
That is true. That is a correct statement.
And because we can't be quiet, this show will continue next week. And we are starting a new series. We've been promising it for weeks. We have finished our summer watch list, and now we are going to be bringing back a series we have done 2 years in a row now. This is year number 3.
And the reason why we're starting a series in the middle of August is this reason. We're doing our decade series again, where we watch one movie from every decade starting in 1964. Hey, it's 2024. 1964, 74, 84, 94, 04, 14, and 24. One movie every decade from that year.
And we try as best we can to find the things that are like culturally impactful or culturally significant in the filmography.
Something that really screams that year or at least that decade.
Or something we feel like could only have been made for that year.
Exactly.
But we've had fun with it the last few years, and it really gets us to watch those things that have been on that list for a long time. So it's sort of a minor continuation of what we've been doing, but I promise there's a lot more structure to these next few movies.
We talk at length about what movies we're going to watch for the decade series.
It's very important that we get it right, Trent.
But Betsy, we're starting off in 1964 with a movie I have never seen.
Oh, and this is a banger, you guys.
It's a big one. We're watching Mary Poppins.
We are. So come back next Sunday where I roll my eyes and you'll be hearing heavy sighs as I can't believe my husband has never watched Mary Poppins. But we are quickly going to take care of that. So thank you, as always, for listening. Until next time, my name is Betsy.
And my name's Trent.
And we'll see you then.